Hey everybody, Colin here, and just checking out my Forex screener this morning, and Great Britain pound New Zealand dollar came up. And so we want to take a look at this pair really quickly to see what we're seeing. Now remember, if you're looking at it from these smaller time frames, we can see that this has been on a major uptrend, right? So we want to know how high can this trend continue to go. Okay, and should we be looking for a sell order now? Now, as you can see on the 1 hour, we've gone into overbought territory, right? It's above 70 on the RSI. And if we look back, whenever we've gotten pretty near to this level, let's see, this is in the immediate future, right? This is just like a week or so ago. But up here, for example, we had a strong dip, 98.2, 97.8. So about 40 pips. We came back up again to this level up here, 98.5. We ended up coming down to 97.9, about 60 pips. Let's look again. Up here we came close to the overbought level, 99.5. We ended up running back down to 97.7, about 80 pips. Let's look here. 99.6 came back down to 99.2, so about 40 pips. Let's look right here. 99.9 came back down ultimately to 99.6. So we got about 30 pips out of that. So, history repeats itself. A lot of times you say, if you want to find out what's going to happen next, always look left. Compare your data, right? So we realize that every time we've gotten into this type of territory, we have ended up having a dip of at least 20 to 30 pips. So here we are now at 74. And so far, look, we've already dipped 20 pips. Okay, so we already have had a dip here. The question is, how significant will this dip be? Now this is in the immediate short term, maybe what's going to happen over the next couple of hours. If you want to look at a bigger time frame though, because there's something we do have to acknowledge, we are in an uptrend. Okay, we are in a strong uptrend here. If we look on the 4-hour chart, we're still in a pretty major uptrend. Now on the 4-hour chart, look at this. When we've gone over here, we ended up going 96.4, 95.4. So we got 100 pips out of that whenever we've gone into overbought territory here. Right here, 94.4, 93.9, so somewhere around 45 pips or so. Here, 95.0, 94.6, so about 40 pips. So we're seeing very similar activity in terms of when we go into overbought territory. Now on the 4-hour, we are not quite into overbought territory yet. So again, if we want to see ourselves in the big picture, let's zoom out again. Now on the daily chart, this paints a much clearer picture, in my opinion. So we're looking at something here, and we're realizing that right now this pair is battling with a major resistance level. One, we would expected resistance right here at the 200, but if we look where these wicks over here have gone, this signifies strong selling pressure, right? So if we look left, we realize that we are exactly pretty much battling at this point right over here. And all we have to do is look a little bit further left. Let me take this off. Let's look a bit further left and see what's happening. So we can see that this area is having multiple contact points. This same line that we're battling with right now was very strong support for this pair, because we can see it came down and went back up many times. This was a very, very strong support point. That pulled us up. We came back down again and ultimately finally broke through after trying multiple times. Now usually, and if you look left, here we are again, support, support, support. It was major support. Now when we finally break through an area that becomes support, it often then becomes major resistance. So we do have a certain point that's critical here because, one, will we at this point in time come back down, basically lose the initial fight with this support area and come back down to cool off and then continue to head back up. Now, if we look at this, we are in an uptrend, okay? And as they say, the trend is your friend. We are in a clear uptrend, a very strong move. And what normally happens in cases like this, if we didn't form this V formation right here and kind of just turn and head back down, once we break through, this is a very strong indicator that there is more upward movement to go. So the fact that we've actually kind of gotten to the top of this point and we're still in a strong daily candle, that definitely says a lot in terms of the strength of this move. From looking at this, I would definitely say that it appears that ultimately this candle wants to move and finish off back up here to the strength of this big white candle, or at least to this spot over here, right? The start of this major move down, which still at this point is still, what are we? Oh, that's still maybe 140 pips or something on the daily candle. So this is something to look out for, right? Sometimes you may just want to get into a trade to test this out. And whenever you're doing that, of course, you use the smallest lot size possible. But in examining this trade, this is what we're looking at right now, right? When we finally broke through this support line, we went down quite significantly. And now we're basically trying to make our move right back up again. At this point, I am not 100% certain if I want to get into the trade at this point. Once again, looking back, whenever we've gone into overbought territory, we've had a nice dip. Okay, but just because we have a nice dip, the overall trend is upwards, right? So normally in an uptrend, what you can do is you wait for the dips. You wait for the dips and then you buy at the dip. Okay, so right now with this, we're in the middle of a kind of strong candle here. So we may want to, and we've just gone into bought territory. So we may want to wait for a dip and then buy on the dip for a further move up, because right now, like I said, right here where it is, it does look like even if we get rejected here for a bit, this move is very strong and it looks like we want to continue to push right back up, probably to around here or so at least, which would be a pretty strong move. But I'm going to wait and look for the dip, because ultimately going into overbought territory, because we're in overbought territory as well, now that means that when we finally do get over here, we'll be very high in overbought territory, which will signal a significant dip down. So we should pay attention to that. Make a note that we check back here often to look at this pair, okay, and see what's going on and wait for our play, okay.